All right, the red light just went on. Are you okay? Are you comfortable? You nervous? You can back out now. This is the right time. If you wanna abandon.
Excellent.
Yeah, okay, he's gonna go. All right, Ed. Well, why don't you do me a favor? Yeah, awesome. Why don't you do my listeners a favor? Introduce yourself. Tell them what your company is and what you currently work on.
Awesome. Well, my name's Ed Kearney. I'm the CEO and founder of Valo. What we do at Valo is we make electric hydrofoil boats and hydrofoil systems for other boats. And our first product is a two-person hydrofoiling electric, fully stabilized personal watercraft, and about the same dimensions as a jet ski.
Wow. Wow. So what's
Um,
hydrofoil? I mean, that's a word I don't know much about. I've been on boats. I don't own any boats. I don't know anything past that. Walk me through. What is hydrofoil? What does that mean?
what is a hydrofoil? So the first hydrofoil was invented over 100 years ago. And in simple terms, it's like an aeroplane wing, except instead of operating in air, it's operating in water. So if you take a hydrofoil wing and attach it to a boat, as the boat starts to speed up, the wing starts to produce lift, which can lift up the entire vessel clean out of the water. So the only thing in the water is the hydrofoil and the propulsion system. This has the effect of reducing the amount of drag by about 10 times as much. And this can completely transform the unit economics and the performance characteristics of a boat.
Yeah, I would imagine, from what I know as a layman in the boat world, that it's old design. There's a boat, water, one propeller. It's got to be a ton of like friction and like it just can't be very. It just, to me, it doesn't seem like it's the best way to do it. But we've done it for a long way, right? I'm assuming that's what you're working on right now, is making that better.
Yeah, exactly. So, the first instance of a buoyancy type boat, I don't know, 2,000, 3,000 years ago, 50,000 years ago, who knows, new. Then the most recent advancements in traditional boat design in terms of how they actually function, maybe the 1950s, where they realized you put a big enough engine on a boat and you slope the hull, it kind of can plane over the water. And ever since then, we haven't really seen any big advancements in the fundamentals of the boats. They plow through the water, they use a lot of energy. A typical boat, 30-foot boat, gets about 1 mile per gallon, 1 mile per gallon. There's like $5 a minute of operating, which is great if you're a rich person having fun, and everyone loves going out on boats. Yeah, but we don't really see boats used for that much stuff other than, people having fun. We don't see for much transit other than big passenger ferries and big container ships and things like that. So the foil technology, we think, is going to create a massive revolution in all of this because it's drag.
Yeah, it really seems like it. So kind of walk me through a little bit about what is this origin story for you? How are you in this position to try to change the boating industry? How did you get here?
Yeah, great question. So I grew up in a smallish town in Australia. You don't already notice my accent, called Canberra. It's about 300,000 people. And my dad showed me some video of some hydrofoil boats and MIT grads made. This is like in the year 2000. So the internet is pretty crusty back then. The video is really grainy. But as a kid, I was maybe 12 years old, saw this video of a hydrofoil boat. It had a cypress pedaling furiously. It was like a converted rowing scull, and it popped up out of the water and ripped along the river, and it broke a world record for a human-powered boat speed record. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. Surely all things will be like this anytime soon. Fast forward 10 years, I'm in university studying engineering, and still no one really done it. It's like, hydrofoil, what's that? Not really a thing. Fast forward another 10 years or so, we start to see it in America's car yachts. And I think to myself, and make this work in a sailing boat. Surely you can make it work in a normal kind of boat. At the same time, I was kind of getting into startups. I started a PhD in coastal engineering and oceanography, and a startup company at the same time. And it turns out the startup company was a lot more fun than the PhD. So the days, unfortunately, were numbered. Love the whole startup game. We made an e-commerce company selling a graduation gown in Sydney. From that, we spun out a new startup that was doing a photography on-demand photography marketplace called Snap. The startup model launched in the United States and then go big. So we blown away confident, got into that, arrived in California and started working on this business. And it was at that point I started meeting folks in the batch, a guy I'm good friends with now is making electric 737s. And I'm like, what? You're just doing that? He's like, yeah. And then people here back me.
Yeah.
And that kind of changed something in my brain. So this like kid from Canberra in Australia who's like dreamed of making foiling boats, but how? How do I do this? Is even a thing that, and then I mean, walk around California meeting these folks and they're making craziest stuff that I want to make. And I'm like, oh, okay, I think I can see this. This is the place to do it. So, decided to transition away from my role of the photography style and start the foiling company. And that's how I kind of got to here.
Wow, that's awesome. So when you are approaching, and this is probably kind of for any startup, when you're approaching something that this is a massive industry, right? That would require lots of changes. It feels like a pretty big mountain to climb. What is step one? How do you just say, all right, this is how we're going to approach it. We're going to hit it here. And that way we get our first win under our belt as a startup. And how does that kind of build after that? But how do you find that first thing when something is so big?
I mean, that is a massive question for any startup company. And I think more often than not, it's really hard to get it right the first time. So, we see success stories in startups how within 3 years they're worth $1 billion and doing all this kind of stuff. It's just kind of luck of the draw. A lot of the time, I think Sam Altman's got some great quote that luck is a huge component of startup things. So as an individual doing something, one approach is you just need to kind of place as many bets as you can, small bets, have as many shots and goals as possible. So kind of what we did is we, knew that we needed to do something impressive, prove that we could build stuff, prove that foiling technology was actually pretty exciting and cool. So what we did during the YC batch was we built a hydrofoiling container ship. It carried one container. It wasn't electric. It wasn't during zero emissions. It was just a gas-powered boat. And we built it in 10 weeks, just with our own hands. During the batch, we showed it off at demo and popped it out the front, which, made it impact people like, oh, if you didn't build that, and it works. Okay, my mind's been changed slightly. And I've always known that if someone's got an opinion about something, but you can change their mind, the new opinion that they hold after it's been changed is usually a hell of a lot stronger than the initial opinion they had. So that's kind of one thing we did. And then the next kind of major step is build a product, get it into the market, and show that people actually want it, and then kind of go from there. But it's not an easy thing to do. And we think we've got a pretty good strategy for how we're going about it.
Let's talk a little bit about that strategy. So what kind of is happening right now behind the scenes? Obviously, I know you're doing a little bit of fundraising, which is how we got connected here. I know you have a WeFunder campaign up, but what are some of the strategies of you kind of putting product into market, growing, scaling? Like, what does that kind of look like right now?
So the strategy we've got now is we decided that the first product we put into market would be a reasonably small product. So a 2-person vehicle. Retail price of $59,000 US. And the advantage of making a small one is you can move quickly. The parts, the supplies, everything moves very quickly. We can build it ourselves in our workshop, and we can make lots of it. So the first product we're building is 2-person personal watercraft, a Valo Hydrofoil, which you can see, an image of it behind me on a trailer. We're almost finished the engineering work to build the first production version of it. We've got an alpha prototype, which we launched in super quick time, learn so much from that, and then could take those engineering developments and put it into the production vehicle. In a few months, we'll have that vehicle complete. This is going to have all the features that the customer can experience. It's going to be fast, it's going to be silent, it's going to be slick. People will ride and experience this sensation of flying above the water. Until you've done it, it's really hard to describe what it's like. From that point, we're going to put that vehicle into spin-up production, serial production. We're looking to deliver products to our customers starting the end of this year. So we've got about 60 vehicles all pre-ordered. And that's even before we've had people, demo it and see it in real life. It's just based on renders and stuff. And from that point, it's just about scaling up that production cycle for that kind of vehicle.
Wow. So in a model like this, I'm in Detroit, so I'm in the car world, right? In terms of rules and regulations, what does rules and regulations look like in this space when you're sort of kind of it feels like creating a product out of thin air to some degree, right? It's not like there's a, so how does like rules and regulations and testing, and is there departments that certify things? I'm asking out of no idea, right? Like I'm just imagining what you have to go through when you're building a car here, or putting the car in parts.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I think in the world of regulatory complexity and challenge, you've got commercial aviation probably at the top.
Right.
I think maybe a few notches below that might be like rockets and spaceships. Because they kind of just go through, it's actually less hard to get a rocket approved. Then below that, you've got like cars and automobiles, where there's a lot of regulations you got to pass and safety tests and that. And then kind of all the way down the bottom, you've got recreational boats that are small and medium size. Yeah. So the regulatory environment is actually very straightforward for us. A lot of it is voluntary type codes you need to administer to, abide by. I mean, we are focused and safety is a top priority. So it's on us to make sure the vehicle is safe.
Right.
And from how we're designing and what we're creating is going to be, no less safe than a traditional jet ski. Mm-hmm. There's a range of things that are more safe on our thing. A jet ski, once you take off the throttle, then you lose steering, which causes a huge amount of accidents. Also, the kind of roughness of the ride means trying to keep the vehicle stable and, not hit stuff can be kind of hard. So our vehicle will always have directional control even without the throttle. But so the regulatory environment is not particularly challenging in terms of getting things approved, but we need to make sure that it is still a safe product.
Yeah. So I got to imagine that you're not doing this all by yourself. I have to imagine there's a team of people around you that are helping develop these things. Tell me a little bit about kind of team building, how you found people, how you got people that believe in the idea. Walk me through a little bit on how you've approached that.
Yeah. The world of foiling is reasonably small at the moment. It's becoming a lot bigger and a lot more exciting every day, but it's still a pretty small kind of world. We've got a very talented core team and also a team of support consultants and engineers around us. CTO Rio, he's very, very talented. He has lived on boats for a lot of his life. He's owned about 30 boats. MIT grad, worked at a different foiling boat company where he led the development of two very impressive hydrofoil boats, taking all those kind of lessons learned and bringing it straight here. I think I was chatting to Blake Scholl, the CEO of Boom Supersonic, like in 2017. And I was interviewing some random podcast thing. And he said to me, it's often easier doing the hard things than it is doing the easy things. Because if you're doing a hard thing, people actually kind of get a bit inspired and they're like, well, this sounds pretty interesting. I like it versus what is making it slightly better, like, Instagram chatbot. You made it, but who cares?
Right.
So that's not a big part in how we find people who work on this kind of project is what we're doing stands out. It seems, it's got a lot of challenges involved in it. And also we'll make a big impact if once we get it. So that's a big factor. Now I find people getting motivated to join the team.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's talk a little bit, maybe over to like the environmental impact, and just how does like maybe your core company value kind of play into sustainability goals and how do you just see that kind of moving into like the marine ecosystem, let's say. So talk to me a little about sustainability and just your environmental impact in the company.
Yeah. I think both Reno and I are both very futurists. We look to build a world we think makes sense in the future.
Yeah.
And as engineers, we see our role as solving the problems that society says need to be solved. We believe that, there's no point in destroying the water environment out there, polluting with oils and gas and things like that. And we see this big push from regulators, which is driven by society and the people that live in this world, that the days of noisy gas-powered boats and big emissions is like, it's over. So as engineers, we're like, well, how can we solve this problem that people have by using technology? So when it comes to our products, there is no real practical way to change recreational boating, small, medium size, commercial boating to a zero emissions type vehicle without a hydrofoil.
Yeah.
Boats traditionally just use too much energy. You can't just slap a battery and electric motor in there and say, great, we've got a Tesla Model 3, let's call it a day. You have a product that costs twice as much, that has a range of about a fifth as much, and the customers are just like, this is crap, I don't want this.
Right.
It's like real early, electric car, full lithium batteries.
Yeah.
So you can't actually change the market. So, that's kind of the impact we think we'll be able to have environmentally. The noise is a big thing people talk about as well. So if you live near a lake, jet skis ripping up and down all the time. It's kind of appeal, but maybe that's starting to fade out. And people say it'd be great if they were all riding your feet silent.
Right.
So environmental emissions are not much lower.
Yeah. It's awesome. Well, you kind of mentioned a little bit, just, kind of walk me through what you see as like a future vision for maybe your entire industry in like maybe the next 5 to 10 years. Just where do you see long-term goals being, and how does technology continue to grow and help, or is technology kind of maxed out right now? Like walk me through what you kind of a future vision in your world.
Yeah. I'm a massive believer that technology is actually the thing that will solve a lot of the problems we've got around us.
Yeah.
It means we can do the same things better, cheaper, with less energy, cleaner, with fewer problems. I mean, look at anything in like medical science.
Yeah.
You're like, well, now we can treat this disease. It used to be debilitating. All you have to do is take one pill once and problem solved.
Yeah.
Zooming in on like marine and water. I look out the window here in Alameda at the San Francisco Bay, and we've got the 880 going down through Oakland. We've got this channel of water. The 880 is packed with cars. The water is completely empty. And the Bay Bridge is packed with cars, and water is completely empty. So there's a great contrast of how these waterways are completely underutilized. The roads are full. It's really, really expensive to try and build new roads. In fact, it's probably impossible. Like having it out on land, the Bay Bridge was a $10 billion, 20-year project. Yeah. But the waterway has so much untapped potential there. Yeah. And the way we unlock it is with this new clean zero emission way of reducing energy consumption of boats by around 15. So the future we see is waterways are used, extensively for transit people and stuff. And that can kind of help to change the way that, we build our cities and get around and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm here in Michigan, right? I'm surrounded by water, and you can take these huge ferries from, over to Wisconsin and Illinois, over to Chicago. I mean, just imagine, I'm sure they're using old school technology from these old ferries. Yeah. They're probably from the 50s, these old ferries, that would be awesome to have something that would be a different solution, and I mean, seriously, how much gas is something like that? I'm sure they're using diesel, like these old school ones. What are the mechanics? I mean, that's got to be.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they usually measure it in tons per hour that's consumed. It's prodigious. And often these ferry operators, especially the public ones, their metric is like, what percentage of costs can we recover from selling tickets? It's not like, what was that profit? It's, well, we're really good. We got a 40%, fair loss recovery. Yeah. So we covered 40% of our expenditure by selling tickets. Like we're, top of the packet. So these vessels, they're needed and they kind of help people get around, but the energy consumption is still super high. The frequency of these vessels is pretty low because they're so big. Yeah. It kind of breaks my arm when I take a ferry from Alameda down to San Francisco, say during the middle of the day or something. And there's like 2 people on it, and this giant ferry, and that's just kind of the nature of the issue, where you have to have a large vessel to get these, a reasonable efficiency and a reasonable ride comfort, with the current technology. Yeah, foils, and you got a 60-person vessel going the same speed, super quiet, super smooth, and as many as you want per day, pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, and you envision, correct me if I'm wrong, that this is something that freighters would use. Again, I'm thinking we have massive freighters kind of running around. I mean, getting into that, I mean, again, who knows? In cargo ships crossing the oceans, I'm assuming that's the big play, right? Like getting that type of this technology into those types of boats and stuff, right?
You're absolutely right. So one massive opportunity we saw and continue to see in the bigger end of town is actually what you can do to replace the use of air freight. So when you're talking about like a Trans-Pacific, Shanghai to Los Angeles, giant 20,000 box container ship, that stuff's pretty good. The efficiency of that is it's the most efficient way of moving anything on the planet is a 20,000 box deep water container ship going 20 knots. Problem is that takes, 18 days. It leaves every, week or so. And you can only do that on certain routes. Air freight is used very heavily on routes, especially around intra-Asia. So you're talking like Singapore to Kuala Lumpur to Shanghai to Tokyo. People are paying so much money for air freight on these routes. The transit times aren't that good, and you can actually replace a lot of that with a air freighter sized ship. You can't really make that work unless the ship also has hydrofoils on it. So short sea shipping is a huge opportunity for where this technology can come in. And what we're seeing these days are the changes in geopolitics. People are moving their factories out of mainland China, where you might have all your factories. You have your component plants, you have your assembly plants, you have your return facilities, all mainland. You just truck everything, between it. Now they're going, you got one thing in Thailand, one thing in Malaysia, one thing in Singapore. So you got to move it all around, and they're all islands. So the only thing you can do these days is put on an aeroplane, because the ships are so slow and don't really work until you bring in a micro container ship doing these routes. And air freight is a huge CO2 up there as well.
Sure, yeah, right. Go back to that environmental, question a little bit ago. I mean, yeah. Wow, this is wild. Walk me through when you guys are sitting around and thinking about consumer adoption, right? I got to imagine that you have to think about people and how you would basically get in front of them, how long it would take for somebody to adopt. I wonder also in this world, do you have, maybe I'm thinking about the old classic car guy who's like, no, I'm never changing this. This is how my boat works. I don't know if you have that type of energy in this space as much, but like, walk me through just what do you see as consumer adoption? And do you think it might lean more novelty as opposed to like, no, this is where we're going? Just walk me through what that looks like in your world.
Yeah. I don't know if we actually had this quote. Someone told me and it kind of resonated. They say the challenge with most products out there, you're not actually fighting, customer demand or if they like the thing. You're fighting against customer apathy. You're fighting against they just don't care about it. Like, great, maybe this is a better, like, taste your right home, but I just don't care. It's not interesting. And a great example is James Dyson with his, vacuum cleaners. They launched it, and I was like, what the hell is that? I don't know if I want it. I'm going to talk about it because, this is, and now it's super successful. You can't remember. It's got the crazy hand dryers and So with respect to our product, if someone sees anything out there, they'll be like, I don't know if I like it, but I definitely know that's not normal. That's different. That's sort of like part of the strategy is it will absolutely stand out. We have had skeptical jet ski owners, talk to us about it, and they've come out and they've ridden our product, and they come back to the dock, and one of the first things they always say is like, I get this now. Yeah, I can see how it's going to be a thing. Because the experience is so different and exhilarating. It's like if you've been skiing all your life, and all you've really skied on is like, icy moguls, and that's what you're going used to. Yeah. And so I was really good at mogul skiing, and then all of a sudden someone introduced you to the concept of like power skiing, or you go heli skiing with big, and you're like, why would I want to do that? It sounds boring, and you're like slower, it's less technical, but holy shit, it's just a lot of fun. The sensation is phenomenal. So for us, like, that is why we're doing what we're doing, in addition to all the other environmental benefits and commercial benefits. And in terms of adoption, we're just going to get people to run the thing. And if they like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. But foil boarding and e-foils is probably one of the fastest growing scenes in power sports. Flight Oil was acquired by Brunswick, late last year for, $100 million or something. So this is the new frontier. And what we're doing is make it more accessible for everybody to, enjoy this technology and things like that.
Yeah. would you have a like a dealership model at some point? Is it, I guess how do people purchase this? Is it something like, again, I go to a Ford dealership and buy a car, right? So is it something like, hey, we aspire at some point to we would be dealers of jet skis, and we would be a product there? That's the path you guys would try to get to?
Great question. So, people will want to demo them, they will want to ride them. There's a little bit of support needed over time once they own the vehicle. Not nearly as much as a gas-powered boat or kind of jet ski. You don't need to change the oil every so often. Duals can't give it as electric. Some support may be needed, in person over the life of the vehicle. So in the mainland US, what we're going to be doing is going to experiment with both modes, like a direct consumer where we're in charge of that, and a dealer model where the dealer gets commissioned to sell the unit and they worry about all the aftermarket support and stuff like that. In international markets, so we've got a lot of interest in Middle East, Europe, South America, and Caribbean. In places like that, we will just go with a dealer type network because it's just going to be too hard for us to maintain across fish buying loads, small and Europe. But whatever comes out of wash is the best strategy. We'll kind of go with that, and sticking to what has been, all jet skis are pretty much sold through dealers at the moment. Makes sense, and that's like that for a reason. So we'll explore.
And would you guys have to have a custom trailer system as well for this, or would any trailer work, or how do people kind of move these around?
Yeah, I'm not seeing the picture behind me in our website to see images of how it fits on a trailer. It's designed to operate load and unload just like any normal jet ski on any normal jet ski trailer, or jet ski boat lift and things like that. We will sell a nice trailer that matches the vehicle, but it will also work with any traditional kind of jet ski trailer. The front and back foils fully retract so that you can beach the vehicle and load the vehicle onto a trailer.
Oh, very cool. Very, very cool. Let's flip a little bit over to maybe like collaborations or partnerships right now. Are there any kind of key partnerships that you think are really helping you guys right now in terms of a lot of the stuff we just talked about? Is there anything that you can kind of talk about in terms of what that looks like?
Yeah, let's see. So we've kind of got a key suppliers. They're they're not interested in talking about it. It's one of the products from. We kind of as light folks. We believe we should focus on the engineering things that are here at the matter, and of course that's the Hydrofoil system and the control system software. When it comes to things like the motor and the batteries, we're not interested in getting the battery manufacturing business because we know there's other folks out there who put lots of time and energy to that and make a better product than we could. So we're going to leverage those third-party suppliers. In terms of other partnerships, we've got, strategic partnerships with other companies out there, to supply them with our foil technology. So once we've done the Valo Hydrofoil product, the next step for us is how do we bring this technology into the boat market more generally, broadly? The difference between the boat market and car market is the boat market has thousands of manufacturers all doing a small volume. So from that, it dictates that one boat builder, it's very hard for them to get more than 1% of market share because the boat market, they want all kinds of widely varied different things. However, if you look at all the boats sold out there, they've probably got one of 5 different engine manufacturer engine models. Usually a Yamaha up or Mercury up or Volvo inboard or something like that. So the plan is we're going to be making foil systems. So the batteries, the motors, the struts, the foils, the control software, package that can get bolted on to another boat builder's boat. The boat builders continue to make their unique style of boat with their excellent craftsmanship and unique design, powered by our technology, so they can also have zero emissions foil. Awesome vehicle, just the same way that they follow the Yamaha outboard. So there you go, move now. So we've got some partnerships with some boat builders on that front to develop and pilot vehicles. Also, we've got a partnership with a Canadian shipbuilding company to supply them with foils for the micro container ship, for a longer term project there. those are some of the partnerships we've got.
That's cool. Is there a way to outfit older boats with your technology? Would that exist at all?
In general, no. So for when it comes to a boat or wanting to use our technology in their vessel, they'll need to modify the design slightly.
Yeah.
The main issue is most boats are designed for, the lift force comes from buoyancy, spread out across the entirety of the hull.
Yeah.
But when we lift up the boat, the weight force is concentrated on, a small number of locations across the hull. So they need to be strengthened, of course. Also, the forward foil needs to retract through a hole in the hull. So that's a thing you kind of need to modify. There's some you could do a retrofit, but it kind of be less efficient. Yeah. Also, the weight boat mass is really something that people are really worried about when designing a boat, because it has not that much impact on it, because it's crap weight.
Yeah.
But when you're flying, you now need to be a bit more conscious of the weight. So it can be difficult to retrofit, but it is only a small modification for a new vehicle to take our stuff.
Gotcha. Let's talk a little bit about your kind of personal reflections right now, is where you are sitting right now. Have there been any memorable moments or real wins that you were just like, yeah, I'm on the right path? Obviously you made some adjustments in your life to get here, but maybe are there any moments where you're just like, man, this I am on the right path. I'm digging it. I'm having fun. Has there been any wins that you can share with us?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, there's so many kind of moments that I'm sometimes in the back of my head when we do a thing or planning to do a thing, I think to myself, if we pull this off, we're going to write about this out in the book and it's going to be hilarious. A few recent days, I think, are you kind of at the start of that, you kind of develop a hypothesis of something, and then you work for a while to try and make that thing a reality.
Yep.
And you kind of have to hold your nerve that the hypothesis is likely to be true before you actually get the data and the result. So sometimes you can't be working on a thing and then you finally get around to launching it, and you have to be like, well, we're going to freak out as if people even want this thing. So I think the first instance of that was, sitting around, I think this is the product people really want. 2-person foiling electric personal watercraft. It is super exhilarating, fast, agile, silent. Work for a while in industrial design, come up with some pictures and renders. We think it's cool. To anybody else, just put it out in the market, send it to some journalists and some blogs and things.
Yeah.
And then we just sit back and see what happens. And then we're kind of very pleased with the result where, we have pre-orders come in and people say, holy shit, this was amazing. I want to experience this. So that's some pretty good kind of that confirmation that what we're doing works. Yeah. And then, when we were at the Fort Lauderdale show in late last year, and people will come up to us and, customers that have placed reservations, and they don't really have any questions other than well, when can I have it? When can I buy it? And that's the only thing left is make this.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool, where, everything about it is everyone's like, yeah, right, just give me one.
Yeah.
I'll give you money. This thing, just make it.
Yeah, that's great. That is great when you start getting those little mini validations as you're doing stuff and you're starting to kind of put it out in the world and you start getting those little wins. When you go to sleep tonight, what's keeping you up? What's the God, I gotta fix this. I gotta do that. What's keeping you up at night?
Well, it's not once you get to the stage, it's yeah, this is great, I want it, just make it. Then you get, okay, now we need to make it stage. So a lot of that's Rio's department,
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of engineering work that goes into making a hardware product ready for a customer. I don't know if you saw, there was a review that MKB HD did of the Fisker Ocean, and the title was, "This is the worst car I've ever reviewed ever," or "No one should buy this car," or something.
Yeah.
And the standard and expectation that people have for consumer hardware is super high.
Yeah.
Apple's a multi-trillion-dollar company with thousands of engineers have been working for decades to make an iPhone as good as it is, and everyone takes it for granted. If it's the battery went flat a bit faster, I'm disappointed. So a lot of engineering goes into making a consumer-ready hardware product that works and is reliable. Now, thankfully, our vehicle is unique. It's got some features that I think the standard that people expect. It doesn't have to outcompete an iPhone, but it needs to be good. So a lot of engineering work goes into that to making sure we've, thought of everything that needs to be done and doing that. So there's a lot of work there and getting that done, in a time frame that's short, as well as being really good. That's that's kind of one of the things that is on my mind.
Sure. I can see why. Do you sit back and at any moment did you have to think the early adopters of this are probably people with more than likely, I'll do some stereotyping here, some disposable income, or they're like, they want to play with a new gadget. And do you have to then make sure that you're producing something at that level, at that price point? Or is it, no, we're going to make something that's, I can go and for a couple $1,000s get, right? I'm just saying, like as you're building and designing and thinking about technology, how are you, walking those lines between like, oh, hey, this is just for the super elite person to have, and we'll be at this price point, and it'll have all this, or no, Jeff can go and get one and go on the lake tomorrow, right? And for for 10 grand, whatever it is, right? Like, how do you kind of think about that as you're developing, producing, designing? How do you think about that stuff?
Yeah, I think we want to make something that everybody can access. And all that, hopefully something that can be affordable for anybody that's into recreational boating. But we need to be strategic. So we take a lot of cues from some of the leaders out there, in particular, like Tesla. You look what they did, and talk about ad nauseum, but the Tesla Roadster, they retrofitted a Lotus. They sold it to, very rich people. It's served the purpose of accelerating very fast and being an electric car. But a lot of parts about it might not have been quite so finished. But that was never their end goal. They were like, we'll start with this, and then we can move down the market as we increase volume, and reduce costs. So that's exactly our strategy. We know that the first version of what we make, because we're building like, tens of these things, not tens of thousands of these things, you can't get cost efficiencies yet. So I need to find the customers in the market that this would be a fit for, which is, the slightly wealthier people who like the newer stuff and want to show off to their friends. Hey, you don't know this. I don't know this. And the boating market is kind of perfect for that, because a lot of it is geared around, it's not price sensitive. It's more feature sensitive and like, luxurious sensitive.
I'm the cool guy with the cool boat. Look at me.
As we get the production volumes up, which is also great the fact we're making personal watercraft, because 80,000 new jet skis are made each year. It's huge numbers. Where they did a tiny slice of that, and our volumes are now at the point that we can get 10x reductions in manufacturing costs, which is huge. And that all blows to all the other systems we make. So we do see a future where we can retail a Valo Hydrofoil for, the same kind of price points as an upper market, gas car, personal watercraft. There's no reason why our vehicle will be fundamentally more expensive than one of those. And that way you can access, everybody knowing how to go.
That's cool. If an inventor was sitting in front of you right now and you had to give them some advice, what would it be? What would you tell them to focus on, worry about, don't worry about that? How would you give some advice?
Often I think the questions that young inventors and entrepreneurs kind of have in the special hardware space is like, well, what do I do? How do I? And my 3 steps is, first, start with a spreadsheet, calculating all the core engineering of how big is it, how heavy is it, how much power do you need, or whatever. So you can understand the general thing. Second is come up with a rudimentary kind of CAD model of it. So you need to conceptualize it in space now. And then the third thing, go find somebody who can draw a nice picture. And that's it, be realistic based on the CAD model. But somebody who understands industrial design, you can find an artwork or whatever, and make a nice picture of it. And then once you've done that, you need to start showing people. And say, this is what I'm making, this is why it's good. And then that's kind of the cycle that you go through and you see what they say. And if they're like, I don't know, this is stupid, I don't want that, and maybe take note, maybe don't. If they say this is great, I want it, let's add this or take that out, and you've got enough validation. That's your kind of minimum viable product. And then you got to think through, well, how do you actually go about building one.
Right.
And you know, hand it to the customer.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, where can people dive in and learn more? If they want to research and see what we're talking about right now and actually get some visuals behind it, where should they go?
Well, company website's pretty straightforward. It's ryanvalo.com, RIDEVALO.com. Valo, like Halo, like the Halo TV show and video game. Yeah. It actually means light in Finnish. Fun fact.
Nice.
And from that's a great starting point. You'll see all the renders, all the pictures, get some videos of that alpha prototyping and learn, you know, all about and kind of the other stuff we're doing.
Awesome. And I'll put links in for anybody who might have missed that. Just go in the show notes. We'll have links in there. Do some clicking around and dive in. Well, Ed, before I let you go, I end every podcast with questions that have nothing to do with what we just talked about. So here we go. So what are you watching right now on the old maybe Netflix, Hulu, any TV shows that you're watching right now?
Yeah, I was watching Halo last night with my roommates. That was a lot of fun. Tokyo Vice and Shogun also excellent. And then also when I just wanted to veg out, I've been watching a lot of NCIS old seasons of that.
Nice. Second person on Shogun. I just had an interview on Wednesday, and that's what they were watching. And so I got it queued up for finishing Loudermilk right now on Netflix, and then I'll put the old Shogun in next. How about podcasts? Do you listen to anything? Obviously, outside of this podcast, I'm sure you listen to all of our episodes. But anything else you listen to?
Not really. I think I struggle to. I don't know where to start with podcasts. You know, I don't know Netflix. It's not Netflix. Spotify. There's like a lot of stuff, and I need a good recommendation. So,
okay. All right. You know, I listen to Mark Maron. You know, I like his interviews. He's, you know, that's always that's what I'll listen to. He's old comedian that sits down with Hollywood stars and kind of gets into the weeds on good stuff there. How about books? You read much?
I recently finished reading the Expanse books. I'm big into sci-fi.
Okay.
I watched the TV shows, and then when they ran out, then I started. I'm like, yeah, well, let's keep reading books. So I kind of read those recently. It's pretty cool.
Nice. How about music? Anything? Are you listening to anything right now? Any new albums or anything?
Oh, I have an eclectic mix of music I like listening to. At the moment, I'm really into, I guess, disco funk.
Okay.
From mainly the 70s, right? So like Bee Gees kind of stuff. Anything with a itching horn section. Yeah. You know? I'm a trumpet player from as a kid, so anything with a horn section that really knows how to play, that gets you moving.
Nice. Have you ever listened to Brass Against the Machine?
No.
It's cool. Okay. It's they might go by Brass Against now, but they play Tool, Alice in Chains, Rage Against the Machine. Ooh. But they have usually like a female singer, and then an all horn section, like a 12-piece horn section is the band. So drums, guitar, 12-piece horn section, and then they cover Tool, Rage Against the Machine, Alice in Chains, Jane's Addiction. So these songs that like everybody knows these songs, but it's a horn section doing it, and it's just sweet, man. It's like my favorite.
That sounds cool.
Favorite horn thing. But yeah, so awesome. Well, like Ed, I appreciate, like I said, taking time out of your day. I know you're busy in the middle of a fundraising campaign, your startup, you got a lot of stuff going on. You're making boats. I appreciate you taking time out of your day, and I encourage everybody, go to the website, check this out, because the visuals are actually really cool to look at. The video you have on there, it helped me like get ready for this podcast. I was like, oh man, this looks sweet, you know. So you definitely have that cool factor immediately after you see it. So I encourage everybody to go check that out. But Ed, appreciate you taking time out of your day.
Thanks for your time, Jess. Great chatting.
Thanks.